How did I feel about this episode? Satisfied. The season finale of Outlander was so pitch perfect, Anna Kendrick would be proud. It wrapped up all of the loose ends, but still left us excited about Season 3, which is exactly what we want in a finale, and it also left us hopeful, which was really unusual for this season. We start in the 1960s, and we meet Claire and her daughter Bree. No Frank, no Jamie. Kinda sad. The episode begins where we meet a grown-up Roger Wakefield and Bree, Jamie and Claire's daughter. Roger and Bree hit it off almost immediately, and they are the cutest couple. They're like Jamie and Claire Part 2, Bree quite literally. While in Scotland for a funeral, Claire begins to reminisce about her life with Jamie and remembers their last day on the Battle of Culloden. And then we begin a back and forth between modern times and Claire's memories of Culloden Moor in Scotland. You feel as though you're living the memories right along with Claire. One of the most shocking flashbacks is at the beginning of the episode when she suggests they just kill Prince Charles Stuart. Unfortunately, Dougal is eavesdropping and is none too happy. After all, he's admitted that he cares more about the Scottish cause than about the Fraser and Mackenzie clans. He has a complete meltdown on his nephew. It's not the first time we've seen him in a rage, but still, it's not good. And Jamie and Dougal are at each other's throats, and Claire eventually helps Jamie finish off his Uncle Dougal. When Rupert comes in and sees what Jamie has done, he is so upset, but still promises to keep this murder a secret for 2 hours. And in that time, Jamie's going to wrap up all of his loose ends, because he plans to come back and fight at Culloden Moor. One of the most heart-wrenching moments is when he hugs Fergus goodbye, and Claire just can barely stand it, because he really is their adopted son. But he gives him a very important task of taking the deed to Lollybrock back to Ian and Jenny. Back in modern times, Claire is driven to Lollybrock and visits the Culloden Moor Battlefield and History Museum. And it's there that she sees her Dragonfly in amber. I kind of wanted her to break the glass and take it back. But it just keeps bringing up this question in my mind. What happened to Jamie? And while that question is looming in my mind, they totally surprise me by showing me that Gellis Duncan is still alive, and she's in modern times. She's still crazy and goes by the name Jillian, but still, she's there, and Bree meets her. Bree thinks she's great, but she's 20 years old and in the 60s, so anything goes. But when Claire finds out that Gellis is still alive, she goes to her house to try to save her. After all, she saved Claire's life at the witch trial. But she meets her husband instead and finds out that Gellis thinks she needs a human sacrifice to go through the stones. And while they're digging through all this history, Bree finds out that Frank is not her father. And then Claire tells her the story about how she went through time-traveling stones and she met Jamie and they fell in love and she came back and actually Jamie is Bree's father. Bree of course does not believe it, but you can tell Roger's a little curious, and so they do some digging. We finally find out what happened back in time with Jamie and Claire. They're back to Frank in his remaining 2 hours. She does not want to go, but he guilts her into it by bringing up the baby, which she hasn't even talked to him about yet, but he's figured it out because he's been counting her cycle. Then he tells her how much he loves her, makes love to her, and delivers our favorite line from the book, and sends her back through the stones. Back at the stones in modern times, Claire is running back to try to save Gellis from herself, but when she gets there, she sees her husband is lit on fire and that Gellis is going through the stones. The only good thing about this is that Bree and Roger see the whole thing happen, and Bree can't help but believe her mother's story. It's here at the stones that Roger tells her that actually Jamie did not die at Culloden, and Claire looks at the stones and we all have hope. Here's hoping Season 3 is amazing. I can't wait to see what happens. Also, in the meantime, I'll miss you guys, so still send me tweets and emails and talk about anything Outlander.